Hello and welcome to Mad Dog Hobby, just a guy enjoying the hobby the only way I know how, with instructions, coffee, and a steep learning curve. Rough. The Deathwatch are a brotherhood of genetically enhanced, alien hunting, super soldier veterans, drawn from every Space Marine chapter, apart from the Grey Knights. If they can be considered a chapter, but anyway, they're a bit too busy hunting space wolves. Veterans from all Space Marine chapters are given the honour of volunteering for the Deathwatch. Unless they are troublemakers for the chapter, then the honour is chosen for them. But each Space Marine is assigned to a watch fortress under the command of a watch commander who has supreme authority over all Deathwatch operations within his jurisdiction, much like a Space Marine chapter master. Within a fortress, Deathwatch forces are arranged into watch companies. Unlike Codex Astartes or Space Marine formations, these companies are not fixed in size or composition. They are highly flexible, formed as needed. Each watch company is commanded by a watch captain, subordinate to the watch commander himself. Veterans from watch companies typically display their company markings on one knee of their power armor, usually with their kill team squad number printed on top. The kill team is the basic fighting unit of the Deathwatch. Each kill team is a small squad, usually between 5 and 10 Marines, handpicked for a specific mission. Members are drawn from different chapters of the Adeptus Astartes, bringing diverse war gear and combat doctrines. They often specialise in roles such as anti-Tyranid hunts, Eldar Corsair interdictions, or in this case, Necron Tomb assaults. Fuck yeah, let's build some Deathwatch. Here are the sprues from the new Kill Team Tombworld box, and they do look magnificent. I do love having mixed armour marks inside one box. From the looks of things, we do receive 2 sets of 3 identical sprues, which does lead me to believe, like the previous Deathwatch Veteran set, that these will be sold in sets of 5 upon general release. I think it's safe to say the new Kill Team kit is supposed to replace the old squatty Deathwatch Veterans kit because of scale, but also because the new Veterans kit is no longer available to purchase, so to my mind, the best way to review a product is to compare it to the previous one. I'll compare the instructions of the previous Veterans kit with the new Kill Team kit, and I'll try and be as constructive and objective as possible. First up, let's check out the shoulder pads. With the old kit we have pads from each of the first founding chapters. Additionally, we have 8 pads from the successor chapters, but with the new set we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 and 17 successor chapter pads. Plus we have blank pads for those of us that don't like the detailed pads, which I'm really happy about because I prefer decals because I'm just not limited to what's in the box then. The new set does have more bare-headed options, which is pretty cool. 2, 4, 6, 7 on the old kit, and we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 bare heads on the new one. So we do have more bare heads and better successor chapter pads on the new kit. We don't have any Deathwatch specific helmeted heads, we just have the standard helmets that we get with the Intercessors or Phobos or Gravis, so that's not great. With the old kit we do get a few helmets with the Imperial eye on them, which I really do like because I just hate painting faces. With the old kit we have a lot of war gear options. We have the veterans with the bolters and power weapons, shotguns, and is that a Stalker bolt rifle? I don't know, I don't really play much 40k. We also have the Infernus heavy bolter and the frag cannon, and both of them can be built from one kit. You can build both if you like, you don't only have to build one, so that's pretty cool. We do also have the mace and shield guys and thunderhammer guys, which is similar to the new set. Also the black shield, which is just a cloak and a pad really, which we don't get with the new set but could be converted pretty easily. With the old kit we get 5 bolters and power weapons, 2 thunderhammer guys, we get a sergeant with a combi weapon with options for plasma or melter. We get both the heavy weapons and we can build both from the kit, and we have the mace and storm shield guys, of which we can build 2 as well. So including the shotgun, stalker bolter and black shield, we get options to build 9 different optives from the 5 in the box. That's pretty cool, and lots of other bits and pieces as well for kit bashing, which is cool. If we now go through the instructions for the new kill team, we only really have the options to build the operatives we can see in the instructions. Each chassis provides like 2 different operatives. All in all, 11 different operatives we can build, so the new set does have more options, but they do seem to be a bit limited to each chassis, and because of the different armor marks, we do seem a bit limited in versatility. But that is still 11 different operatives, which is more than the previous set, but we do lose the bolt gun, power weapon, black shield and shotgun guys, but we do get others in the new set instead. Well, let's build these bad boys and put them to the test. One criticism I hear online is that the new set has particularly egregious mold lines, which I have to disagree with because to me they look very similar to the previous set. Maybe a tad bigger to be generous, but then again the scale has increased, so I think it's reasonable to think so will the mold lines a little. Right, I've built the 3 different intercessor chassis to see how easy it is to build alternative poses, and the first thing I want to point out is that the shin plates cannot be directly swapped onto a different chassis, mainly because of the ankle ball, but especially on the Thunderhammer chassis, the shin plate just doesn't fit. If you can see there's a gap at the top of the knee, which isn't good. It does fit onto the gunner chassis. The challenge is the little ankle balls. I will need to be careful removing them to stick them on separately. If I was to switch up the poses, I would like the Deathwatch honours on the Sergeant especially. But let's start blue tacking some of the arms to see what alternative poses we can build. Starting with the Sergeant. I don't think it's the best idea to use the Thunderhammer chassis for the Sergeant because the Deathwatch honours shin plate doesn't really fit on this guy, but let's take a look anyways. I don't think we are missing much with the pose, but it looks okay, quite heroic. I think the pose looks quite cool if I can work out how to get the shin plate on. I do really like how the Sergeant Arms looks on the gunner chassis though. It's got that "with me brothers, charge" kind of feel, and along with the shin plate I think it will look really cool. That's a nice pose, I like it. Let's move on to the Blade Master. I don't think we can get a nice pose out of the Thunderhammer chassis really. It looks okay, but I think the original Blade Master pose is much better indeed. Next, the gunner chassis, and again I really like this pose for an alternative on the Blade Master. I think that looks really cool. I would be very happy with that, but as we'll see now, the problem is with the gunner arms. First of all, the plasma gun doesn't fit on the hammer chassis. I would have to remove the cables completely and remove the grenade pouch on the chest. It's very difficult to line up the cables. The plasma gun on the Sergeant's chassis again doesn't fit, but if I remove the purity seal from the chest and cut down the cable, it may work. Other than that, I think it would be okay. It's the same with the bolter arm. It just doesn't fit. If you can see there, it just doesn't fit on. Maybe again I could try removing the purity seal, but even then I think the angle will be wrong gluing the arms on with the chest. It's a difficult one. Now for the mace and shield on the Sergeant, it looks a bit like this, so nothing too exciting. Again, I much prefer the original sculpt to this one. It looks okay, but nothing too exciting on this one. But on the gunner chassis, it actually looks quite cool. But the problem is, the guns just don't really fit on the other chassis. But back to this guy, and again, I really like the pose on this one. I think that looks really quite cool. Finally, the Thunderhammer, which does seem a bit big. I hope you can see what I mean. And I think I'll just have to break the arm off and glue them on one arm at a time onto the torso and it should be okay. The pose does look pretty cool with the gunner chassis though, works well. The pose on the Sergeant chassis is pretty cool as well. I think we can get some pretty cool alternative poses, but the problem is that the arms of all the arms look good on the gunner chassis, but the gunner arms don't really fit well on any of the other chassis, and the arms of the sort of hammer chassis look really cool on the other chassis, but nothing else really fits or look cool on the gunner chassis, so it's all a bit weird really. All in all, I think the versatility is severely gone down on this kit. So here they all are together, and I built them as intended in the end because I'm reviewing the box and I think to give them a fair shout, I've got to build them as GW intended. Now, I did stick a few extra bits on because one of the things I don't like about this kit and the previous Veterans kit is it doesn't really have any chapter specific iconography, which really helps spice the models up. I mean, I did buy loads of upgrade packs for the different Space Marine chapters when I wanted to do a Deathwatch army, so I've used a few bits of those, but we didn't really go through with that once the Deathwatch got sort of like squatted and then put under the umbrella of the Imperial agents. But anyway, let's get into it. I think the new scale is absolutely fantastic. I did go for the white scar for the Watch Sergeant. Just used all the standard bits there. I do think I've got a white scar power sword somewhere I'd like to stick on, but I kind of ran out of time. I want to get this video out pretty quick after release. So I think he looks absolutely fantastic. No real issues with building this guy. I went with white scars because white scars are just cool. I really like them, and I don't have any white scars in my other Deathwatch collection, so I went with the Sergeant there. The Aegis, I went for Black Templar with this guy because, you know, Storm Shield, power weapon, melee specialist, he's got to be a Black Templar, alright. So I stuck some candles from the Black Templar upgrade sprue and then a few sort of like purity seals to make him a bit more Black Templar, and I had no issues building this guy. He looks really, really cool. Really happy with him. So the next on my list is the Blade Master, which is this guy, and I'm going to do him as an exorcist because he has like a focus on warp resistance and psychic awareness, so I thought an exorcist would be a good option to wield an alien weapon because he's not going to get corrupted by its influence. Really cool. Just built him as it comes, apart from I put a Deathwatch old school helmet on this guy because I just like him. It looks a little bit small, so it looks like he's got a little bit of a pea head, but I think he's pretty cool all in all. Really happy with him. Then Bombard. So I went with Wolf Spear because I really wanted to lean into that sort of long fang aesthetic, and I think he looks really cool as a Wolf Spear. They're more sort of like, well, Codex compliant than the Space Wolves, so I don't know if they actually have long fangs or not, but in my mind they do. And I went with the Bombard because I didn't want to build another Infernus heavy bolter because I've already kind of kit bash one for my Angels of Deathwatch, which is just here. If you want to see me kit bash the rest of the team, the videos on the channel, you can check it out if you like, but also how I painted him as well. But the scale is a little bit off. This is the first sort of Gravis guy that I've owned from this kit, so I think I need to stick a cork in this guy, but I'm also going to stick the spare backpack on the back to just bulk him out, but I think that'll be alright. Yeah, so really happy with them. Gravis isn't really my favourite armour mark. It's okay. I much prefer Terminator armour. It looks a little bit more sort of medieval than the Gravis stuff. All in all, I think they're pretty cool. So the Demolisher, I'm going with Salamanders for this guy. I know Salamanders aren't really that melee focused, but they do love Thunderhammers, so I thought this guy just loved Thunderhammers so much that I just wanted to bring it to every Xenos scum he could find. And I stuck a few little extra bits on here, so I put a head from the Salamanders upgrade sprue, and then the Burning Chalice from the upgrade sprue as well. And I think he turned out really well. Really like him. So now we're on to the Head Taker, which is this guy. So I'm going to put him from the Iron Snakes. You know, the Iron Snakes excel at covert operations using terrain, shadows and infiltration to get the drop on the enemies. Not really melee specialist, but I thought this Iron Snake had learnt a few new skills from his duty in the Deathwatch, so I went for that. And this guy's all pretty standard. I did manage to get a Phobos shoulder pad on the right arm. I got this from my bits box because I really don't like how the Phobos don't have a right shoulder pad. I know they're meant to be stealthy, so they want to be light on their feet, but they're wearing power armor. One shoulder pad's not going to make a difference. So I think this Phobos guy and the other one have learnt how to be stealthy with the extra shoulder pad. I think it looks way cooler, and I managed to get it on the arm without doing any trimming or anything like that, so it's really cool. The next one is the Disruptor, so I'm going for red talons for this guy. So not sneaky like the Raven Guard, but They do excel at technological sabotage, like corrupting or disabling enemy war machines, targeting infrastructure, and sort of like turning the Mechanicum's tools against the foe. So I thought the Red Talon would look really cool here. I did use an Iron Hands head from the upgrade sprue on him, and put the extra shoulder pad on for my bits box, but I'm happy how he turned out. He was all good. Oh, one thing I should say about the Demolisher is that I did take the arm off, and it putting them on one by one and then lining up the wrist did work, and it fits really well, so happy with that. Okay, next is the Breacher, and I'm going to go for a Carcharodon with this guy. I haven't used any extra bits on him, just as he comes from the kit. I thought he was a big chunky lad, so he could be a Carcharodon, and they sort of like specialise in brutal void assaults and ship-to-ship raiding, so like breaching through the walls in a Tombworld is going to be no problem for this guy. Just kind of suits his fighting style, so I wanted to go for a Carcharodon with him. Okay, the Gunner, I had a few issues trying to get the cables to align on this guy in the pose, but I always do with cables. I just don't know what it is about them, but I just don't get on with them at all. Kind of wish I just sort of like left the cables out and just had him on the gun, because it will be easy to paint without the cables, but they do look pretty cool, so I kept him on. Again, I used a Deathwatch head from the old kit on this one, just one of the last two that I had left. He is going to be a Emperor's Spear, because they're sort of like balanced combined arms tactics with a preference for long range firepower, using bolters and plasma. They sort of like combine Codex Astartes doctrine with sort of like elite tactical planning, and often coordinating Devastator style heavy support with assault squad. So I thought him as the Gunner would be really cool as an Emperor's Spear. And then we have the Marksman. This guy is going to be a Red Scorpion, so they're extremely disciplined, like Codex tactics, emphasizing range firepower and precision strikes, and they avoid unnecessary risks. So I thought that'd be really cool for a like sniper type guy. But they do like favor bolters as well, and plasma, missile launchers and stuff. But don't get any missile launchers in this kit. But they only really use melee when necessary. But I thought that'd be really cool, and he's pretty standard from the kit. I didn't use any extra bits on him, I don't think. So yeah, I think the kit was really cool in the end. All in all, I'm very happy. I tried to use all the parts I could out of the sprues for just 5 Marines to see if we had any little parts left over, and honestly we don't really get that much. We get a few heads, some the shoulder pads that I didn't use because I like the decals. We got the Infernus heavy bolter left over. It would have been nice to have an extra pair of arms for it, for kit bashing purposes, but never mind. We do get a few extra little bits of pouches, but apart from that, it's just these sort of like little Necron debris to decorate the bases, apart from the heads and shoulder pads. So nothing much really left over, but I think the Necron base decorations are a nice touch. I would have liked a few extra bits really. So let's wrap things up with some pros and cons. For the pros, I think the new scale is great. Lots of Deathwatchy detail. The models look truly amazing. Mixed armor marks within squads has been a unique characteristic to the Deathwatch for a while now, but to my knowledge at least, this is the first time we can buy a mixed squad unit, so that's really, really cool. Lots of heads and shoulder pads, loads more options than the previous kit, and much more shoulder pads from successor chapters, which is amazing. Poses are very cool and dynamic, which is perfect for a game like Kill Team. But for the cons, we have a lack of posability. I think this kit will be sold in 5s, and I don't see a problem if you don't want to build the Gunner or Marksman, because you can make it work with the other parts. The problem for me is if you buy a set of 5 and want to build both the Gunner and Marksman, you need to convert the models to do so, which I think is a major con for the kit. This kit is definitely less flexible than the previous Veterans kit, even though there are technically more operatives to choose from. For a game like Kill Team, there is no issue, but I'm starting to get into boarding actions now, and my boarding strike list for Astartes has 20 vets. If I were to buy another 10 new Deathwatch, I would be limited in what poses I could use without converting the models. I hate to double up on sculpts in my armies. I do love kit bashing and converting, but for someone new to the hobby,
It will be a shame to have 2 lots of 10 identical Marines. Loss of weapon options. This isn't looking good for people with large collections of Deathwatch. Will we still have rules for these moving forward? Knowing GW, I would expect no, in all fairness. So all in all, I think this kit is amazing for Kill Team, but downgrade for anything bigger. Yes, the new sculpts look incredible, but the kit has very little flexibility compared to the old Veterans kit. I'm showing some bias now, but I don't like the lack of posability, and I don't like how the 2 Gravis Gunners have the exact same pose. So I'm happy I bought them. I will enjoy the kit for Kill Team, but all in all, I think this is a downgrade for games bigger than Kill Team.
But what did you think, dear viewer? Do you think this new Deathwatch kit is an improvement on the previous Veterans kit? Let me know in the comments down below. But additionally, this is the first time I've done this kind of video, this kind of content, so if you'd like to see more, please let me know in the comments down below as well. But otherwise, if you like chaotic hobby projects and slapdash painting, then like and subscribe now. More Mad Dog Hobbies coming soon. Ciao.